It is time to talk some Champions League. I love mixing it up, man. I feel like every single episode we have something fresh, something new to talk about. We talked about some EPL, but I love Champions League. And Jake, I might not be able to name every player, every team, when every game is going to be on, but I'm not a casual anymore. I'm going to go out and say I'm not a casual anymore, man. I'm watching so many games a day. There's just no way I could ever call myself like I'm not on your level or anything, but there's no way I'm going to let anybody call me a casual because. And for the record, for the boys watching, I'm not just watching games if I bet on it. I'm actually watching because I like watching it now and I like keeping up with it. So we have the scores listed below here, but what were your impressions, man? Four games are done.
Yeah, man. The one thing I'll say is Champions League has a different aura around it. So for club football, it's the equivalent to like the Euros. So all the best teams from all across Europe, like some like leagues that are bigger and better obviously get more automatic qualification spots than others and vice versa. We won't go through like the whole formatting of it, but basically you just get to see a lot of teams that you don't get to see play each other every year, right? So like I got to see Liverpool play Leipzig yesterday. So that was really awesome for me because obviously we don't get to see that very often. Champions League took like a 2-month hiatus after the group stage. So it's nice to see it back. There's a different aura. It's a really important competition. There's always an underdog story. There's always the heavyweights going at it. Like the draws, like everything around the Champions League for club football has a really, really big hype to it. So it was exciting to be back. Jumping into the first game, obviously we got to talk about Liverpool Leipzig. I know you were watching that. I'm just gonna come out and say it, buddy. You might as well come jump on the bandwagon. I could use another guy in the chat to back me up when I'm fighting with the Manchester United fans. You guys know who you are. Fuck you. But honestly, good game from us. Leipzig, they didn't really offer too much for us. They had a chance that hit the crossbar, and they had a couple half chances, half breakaways, but Liverpool looked like they were back to themselves a little bit. It was nice to see Salah score again, pretty much the only guy that's been scoring for us. And Mane finally buried one, which was nice. Good to keep a clean sheet, 2-0 after almost like a month and a half now of rough performances. But I know you were watching the game, so the one thing we'll point out again is, and it's something that drives me, I don't know if it's like a false sense of like somebody always like told me this and I didn't really know much about soccer. And like this is just something that's like built into me now or ingrained into me. But like when I see Liverpool like repeatedly play long balls over the top to nobody, that drives me insane. And I know that's something you've harped on too, is like seeing those long balls just to like nobody over and over and over again.
And then they get frustrated too. Like they expected a different result. That's kind of the fun. That's like the comedic part to me. It's like when soccer players are like putting their arms in the air or like getting mad and like yelling at their teammates. It's like, dude, what did you expect? You just did the exact same thing a few minutes ago. But you know what? The one thing that I always say about sports in general, Jake, but about like soccer, I'm finding 100% with all these different, you know, tournaments and league play and different stuff like that. Obviously, there's different lineups. Like what you guys always tell me is like, check the lineup, check the formations, right? But like, you can't tell me that like Champions League versus like regular league play and all this stuff. Like there is a different morale going into these games. It's hilarious. You know what I mean? Like it's just like it's such a different. It's kind of like, well, I'll use a reference I've been used to using today. It's kind of like how Ottawa has won 2 out of the 3 games against the Leafs this year, but they're getting smacked around by every other team. It's because they're actually getting up for that game. Like they're playing spoiler. They're a little bit more like wound up to play them. I don't really know why. It's a rivalry, stuff like that, right? So these guys clearly get up for the Champions League. So you could see that Liverpool looked confident, and they didn't really give Leipzig any opportunities. Did you find? I mean, I wasn't really too disappointed with their defense, but I'll tell you whose defense I was disappointed in and got completely exposed, and that was Barcelona.
Yeah, man. Liverpool looked good. Starting with Henderson at the back is always going to be a problem, but we might as well, like, I'm happy with Liverpool, so we might as well just get right into Barcelona. Holy shit. Like, holy shit. Kylian Mbappe is a menace. Like, this dude is 4 years younger than me, I think, or 3 years younger than me. And this guy is doing things that I dream about, like literally dream about. And it's so crazy to see, man. Like Barcelona has literally just fallen off a cliff. And I'm not sure if you're aware of it, but well, if you're not, I'll fill you in and we'll fill you the people in for that don't know. So Barcelona right now is having major financial crisis, like major financial crisis, like haven't paid their players in 2 months, which, you know, sometimes for like certain, like if that keeps going on for lesser clubs, that would be like an automatic relegation from the league. Like if you can't pay your players, sometimes you get relegated like three divisions down. So you'll be in the top flight and, you know, you run into a crisis. You can't afford to pay the players anymore. You can't afford to
What
pay
would
the
cause
staff.
that, Jake? What would cause that? Like, is it just like the
Well,
gate or like what's?
well, the Camp Nou is like, you know, one of the greatest stadiums in the world. Like like any sport, I would put it up against any stadium in any sport. It's one of the immaculate stadiums in the world, right? And it holds like 60,000 people. So for them to not be able to play and have the gate, and I don't want to pin this on Messi, but there's been reports coming out now, and it's leaning more towards that Barcelona's leaking this information about Messi's contract and how much he's making. And during a crisis, it's absolutely like crippling the club. Like it's absolute, like there's not much they can do paying him the amount they're paying him. And then you got to factor in that there's other players that are, you know, superstars in the game or stars in the game or budding stars in the game that are on high wages, right? So for them, like this was kind of expected for me to see them lose to PSG because in the league they haven't been overly successful. You know, they've been had up and down spurts, right? But to see them lose 4-1 was crazy, bro. Like absolutely, like it makes me think like this is the end of the Messi era in Barcelona. Like next year, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know who's going to be able to get him or who's going to pay the wages for him or how it's going to work out. But I think Messi's done at Barcelona after this, man. There's no way they're coming back unless PSG chokes in the second leg.
I can't remember who it was in our group chat, but like some people were just talking about the celebrations of Mbappe and like this guy seems like he's just having so much fun, man. Like
He's got
everyone,
swag.
yeah, he does, man. Like everyone should have fun playing sports, but like this guy's just like he's all smiles. He's got a little bit of like smack talk to him in like a kind of a humble way, which is kind of hard to describe, but like he just gets it done, man. And like I saw a pretty cool video today, and like I'm not sure if like you know all the players, but I sent it to the group. It was like the center back for Barcelona, I think, that was like screaming and yelling, and then they were doing the translations on the video, right? And the players from PSG were just like, stop screaming, like settle down. And he's like, no, like I'm fucking pissed. And he was like yelling because like they were just getting dominated. Like the pace of play was horrible, the defense was awful. And I know that like in soccer in general, like there's people have their certain roles. Like obviously strikers don't come back and like play D. Like I understand that factor, but I feel like the way that these guys move together is very like self-centered. It's kind of like, hey, like that's your guy, I'm not going to help you out. That's your guy, I'm not going to help you out. And the way they got countered was just unbelievable. Like because Barcelona was controlling the pace of the game. I was watching like that full game pretty much. Barca looked good out the gate. I believe they got the first goal. And then it was just all downhill from there because they were just getting countered. I think it's a interesting point to raise, and it's becoming more and more of a thing. The possession means jack shit in soccer these days. It really does. I mean, getting countered is a huge thing these days. Well, it always has been in soccer, but
yeah, no, you're 100% right. More than ever, teams are sitting in and playing defense and then springing on the counter, or they do what, you know, I don't want to say Liverpool kind of created this, or like I think they brought it back to the forefront of like pressuring from the front. So when their team has the ball in the back with their center backs, left back, right back, their midfielder, the team presses up and presses from there. So if they lose the ball in their half of the field, you have an easy counterattack and less of the field to run, right? So for teams like Barcelona who are fragile defensively, and PSG knows this, it's easy for them to kind of, you know, like push the envelope a little bit on like pressing them and trying to win the ball back and like going forward and counterattacking because they know realistically Barca can't keep up with them. Like Neymar, Mbappe, like Di Maria, like Verratti, Marquinhos, like they have so many different players all around the pitch that were just significantly better than the ones that Barcelona had to offer. So for me, like 4-1 was a little outrageous, I think, you know, Barcelona should have had a better effort, and I don't know what to say for the effort that they put in. They just sucked, I guess. But PSG is going to be a problem in this competition again. We saw them go to the finals last year. They had a heartbreaker to Bayern, but they have all the makings of a team to go deep. They got two superstars that can lead the front line. They got an awesome midfield, and they got a pretty good defense. So for me, it wasn't anything too crazy. I keep going back to the storyline of like, this is probably it for Messi, like at Barcelona. Like we're in soccer, there's a huge allure to a one-man club, you know, like he played for that team from however young he was. He built himself here and he retired here. And I feel like a lot of people kind of had that hope for Messi. You know, we saw Ronaldo go off to Serie A and play for Juventus, and we'll get to them in a minute, those bums. But I kind of want to see Messi retire at Barcelona, but just like with the financial and then all the back and forth that was going on in the summertime with him wanting to leave and Barca saying they were going to sue him, and there was just a mess going on there. I think we really did this is probably the second leg's probably the last time we're ever going to see Messi in a Barcelona jersey in the Champions League. It's crazy to me, man.
Yeah, that's not. Let me ask you this, because this is kind of this might be just like incredibly obvious question. This is like something that anybody could ask about any sport, but I noticed that PSG, like they didn't sit back, I guess. Like that's what I noticed. Like they played for a full 90 plus the entire match the exact same way. And I understand it's Champions League, so it's two legs, so you obviously want to keep going, applying the pressure, but this game easily could have been 2-1 or 3-1, but they continuously applied the pressure and kept on pushing. I mean, they were trying to make a statement, it seemed like, man.
Yeah, and the other thing too is, like you said, the two-leg factor. So in the Champions League, there's still the away goal factor. So an away goal's basically worth 1.5, as weird as that sounds, but it's basically worth 1.5. And for the away team, when you're up, 2-1 or 3-1, and you can see you're clearly dominating the opponent, you might as well push on. So for that second leg, you can sit back. But the thing about PSG is they've blown multiple leads in second legs at home. So for them, I think it was more of like a mental thing. Like, we have to keep going here, because we know in the second leg when we've had big leads and we've sat back, we've got exposed and we've ended up losing. So I think for me, it was just a mindset, like you said, of just like, let's keep going. It doesn't matter if it's the first leg, the second leg, if it's 2-1, 4-1, 8-0. Like, let's just keep going and let's just keep playing our game. So if we ever do come to a moment where, it's the fixture's tied going into the second leg, like you guys aren't panicked because you don't have a lead. You guys just keep going with your process.
Would you say like that's like it's like a definite, like you can definitely say you notice a difference between like Champions League play and how they would have played that game if it was like regular league play?
It depends, right? Because Barca's dangerous regardless of what's going on with them. So like in a league game, like the French league isn't the most competitive league. Let's just say it that way. Like it's competitive this year, and there's a lot going on in the French league this year, which is cool to see. There's a little bit more disparity in the league. But for like to say that for PSG, it's a little bit harder because they don't I don't know how to phrase this and be disrespectful to the French league, and I don't want to be, because like I do respect it and I do watch it, but like the Champions League is PSG's like quote unquote league play, right? Because like pretty much every year, with the amount of money they spend and the players they have compared to the rest of the league, they should win the French league every single year. So for them, the goal is to win Champions League. Like they haven't done that yet. So like for them, like they're getting up for every Champions League game, because they could not necessarily walk through a game in League One and win, but we've seen them do it. Or when they feel like putting it on a team in League One, like coming off a loss or something, like they'll beat teams like 8-0. Right. And like, so for PSG, I think it was more just so like they're more like their ownership has even come out and said, like, we want to win a Champions League. Like we won the French league a million times. Like we want to win a Champions League.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense to me. The Dortmund game, I had the over in that game. Everyone I spoke to, anything I read about this game, I figured it was going to be a pretty back and forth, fast paced game. Talk about the counter, man. Like we were just talking about that. I'm not sure if like I saw the highlights of this game again after watching it, and like these goals weren't boring goals.
No, man, the play was really open in this game, to be honest. That's kind of Dortmund's thing. To see that from Sevilla is a little surprising, but because the I think Dortmund jumped out to 3-1, I think it was. I can't.
Yeah.
It was 3-1. I think I'm pretty sure, but they jumped out to 3-1. So like that makes Sevilla have to come out and play a little bit more. Sevilla is a really defensive style team. They like to sit back. They like to control the possession. They like to make like calculated risks. Like they're not just like bombing it forward every time, and they're not just like throwing guys forward. Like, you know, they have a game plan and they have a system that starts with defending. So for me, it was pretty cool to see them. They actually made an interesting signing in the January window. Papu Gomez, who used to play for Atlanta, he's like 31, so like he's entering his prime kind of, but he's an exciting player. He got to play today for Sevilla, but I think the show belonged to Haaland. I'm not going to say Mbappe is a budding star anymore because like he's a superstar now, but like Haaland's the next great striker that we're going to see in our lifetime. Like this kid is so good and he just knows how to finish. Like the one thing that like I joined a beer league soccer team and obviously we're on a completely different scale of like talent. But one thing I've noticed is like it's underestimated how hard it is just to like put the ball in the net. Like when there's other people around and like people running at you and there's feet everywhere and the ball's bouncing, like, or you're running full speed and have to like try and like, you know, get it in the net. It's hard. And like, I have a lot of respect now seeing this kid, like just doing it at the top level again. And for me, I want to see Dortmund make a run a little bit because they've had a really disappointing season in their league play. I think they're down in like 7th or something right now. And for the Bundesliga and for like that club, like that's that's unacceptable for them. So I want to see them kind of make a run and see this exciting, like attacking football because they also have Jadon Sancho, who's another like really young, talented superstar that deserves the stage, to be honest. So I was happy with the result. If I was betting, I'm not going to lie, I probably would have went with the under because Sevilla is such a good defensive team. But it's always good to see goals, buddy, and that's what we're here to see. So I'm happy to hit your over.
Yeah, man, it's fun. It's fun, and there's no secret that I definitely attract towards those games, which is why I've made myself a Leeds fan because every one of those games is like 4-2. That's been no secret.
The way you should pick. That's the way you should pick teams, though. I think, like, if you don't know anything about the sport, like whoever you enjoy watching most, like they could just be your favorite team. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, right? And I actually like.
Man, I'm a Leeds fan. I'm a Leeds fan. I know
that's dope. I like that. I feel like too many people, like when they're joining a sport, like they just like pick the good team, right? Because they want to be a part of the fun. But it's way better to watch a team and get invested and just like the way they play and like the things around them. And Leeds is going to be Leeds, bro. So you picked a good team to watch every week. Like they're going to attack, and that's pretty much all they're going to do.
It's hilarious watching their games, man. It's kind of like when you play like FIFA and you're holding down the speed burst button with the old games.
Yeah, you're just running forward the whole game.
Them the whole game, man. They're just running, but they're gonna get countered too. And Porto takes on Juve, and they win 2-1. What do you think, man? I mean, I know you said this was kind of the biggest shocker of the day. I know people in my industry that had some pretty big size bets on Juve for leg one. They're pretty disappointed.
Oh yeah, man. This was if you would have asked, well, obviously if you would have asked me my bias, I would have said Liverpool was the lock of this like fixture week. But like in all honesty, like Juventus was the lock of the like this fixture week. Juventus should have beat
Apparently
Porto.
not. Apparently not.
I know. But that's the beauty of the Champions League, right? Like the Portuguese. So for people that don't know, Porto plays in the Portuguese league. The Portuguese league usually in the Champions League only has a team or two represented. So for them to even make it to the round of 16 is a huge deal. And the fact they beat the reigning Italian champions and like one of the most historic clubs in a game at home, that's a really big deal. And I'm not sure if you watched the game or not, but the first goal that Juventus let in, did you see it?
No, I didn't see it.
Okay. So the goalie passes it to, so you've seen it when the goalie passes it out to like a midfielder that's like kind of like just past the 18-yard box, but he still has his back to everybody.
Right.
So he felt like the other player running onto him. So he started like kind of running towards his own goal with the ball. And like, he just gave like the worst pass back to the goalie ever, like left it a million miles short.
Yeah.
And like the guy just scored, right? And you could see like the defender and the goalkeeper are both kind of like yelling at each other. but it's like you're professional soccer players and you get paid. Like, kick the fucking ball away. Like, even the 12-year-old would know that. Like what? Like, why are you putting your why are you putting your goalie in that sort of position? And then when the ball goes in, you're like doing this to him. Like, what are you doing? It's like, man, the guy made a mistake because you put him in that position. And for Juventus, this is like, they've been up and down all season. Like, they've been suspect defending. But for Porto, this is a huge chance. The second leg is really where the game's going to come down to. They're going to be back playing in Turin. So it's going to be a huge game. I don't know if Juventus is going to be able to hang on to the 2-1 lead. Porto. I feel like Juventus in the second leg at home is going to have way more to offer than we saw today. Like, that was embarrassing, man. Like, I would honestly feel bad, like, for the people that bet on Juventus after seeing the kind of performance that they put on today. Like, Porto really could have won the game like 3-0, 4-0. And like, that's unacceptable from a team like Juventus.
Man, from what I've seen, like, I haven't watched a bunch of Juve games, but from whatever I have watched their games, it seems like they're like an emotional wreck. Like, it seems like they're like such a, like, and I'm bringing this from like an outside perspective as someone that doesn't know these players
that
too
Italian
well, stuff like
fury,
that.
Bro.
I'm telling you, man, like you said about them talking with the defenders, getting mad at the keeper and vice versa. Like, that doesn't happen on every team. Like, you can get mad at your teammate and stuff, but like, I'm telling you, like, from what I've seen from this team, they're capable of scoring goals, but when they get down on themselves, it's just game over. It's GG, you know, and like, they do that all the time. So if I'm Porto and I see this, I'm like, fuck yeah, like, let's go. Like, they're frustrated. We got them, a little pissed off. So 2-1, I think that's the only way this team was going to win. Juve was bound to get one, but interesting. I'm look forward to talking about the next time these two teams play.
The goal Chiesa scored was fucking worldy. I'm not gonna lie. It's an awkward one. I won't even try to explain it to you. You just have to watch it. I don't know how he managed to put the ball with that foot in that part of the net. Like, it just, like, the physics around the shot, like, to me, just didn't make sense. But it was a great goal. But to your point, they did ruffle some feathers. They're going to be headlined in the news. The Italian news is going to be all over Juventus about losing this game. And there's going to be massive pressure on both sides going into the second leg, like you said. And it could be arguably the second best, like, the second leg that we're going to see out of this, like, fixture list that we've been seeing right here. So it's going to be interesting. Porto's going to have to really dig hard and dig in and work hard and just do everything they can to try to defend that lead and then go on and try and get a goal, because Juventus at home is going to pour it on. And I have a hard time seeing Juventus going out in the round of 16 to Porto.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be giving it everything that they have, and I don't think it'll be too big of a shocker to see them have a pretty good leg 2 game. But coming up next, we're going to touch on some CFL, and then Jake and I have a small announcement for a guest we're going to have right here on the Game of Inches podcast.